Hey, hey, here we are. Welcome to the Shamans Tea. I am Starr, and this is my beautiful shaman friend, Mia. And we're here to spill the tea, share some wisdom, have some fun, have a play date. So welcome into our space and our time and our hearts. And it's so nice to have you join us today. So cheers.
Cheers, yes, to my dear friend Starr,
She's
shaman extraordinaire. I can't say extraordinaire.
She's using the S word again, y'all. Well, you know, it's funny, the shaman's tea.
Right.
So we decided to open up sacred space a little differently today. And truth is, we're being gut-wrenching honest, is that we opened up the big hooly-dooly sacred space as far as laying down and opening up, calling all the directions before we hit record. But we thought we would just open up and say a little prayer with you guys today. So you want to go, Mia?
I call on all the spirits and guides and the archangels for safety and protection for us as we do these readings, and also for all our listeners who are tuning in to this information, and for access to the Akashic records, whatever we need to access information we need.
Blessings and blessings and blessings. Yes, the channel is open, the portal is open, and we are here today in our heart space sharing with you and opening up this portal, this channel, that we may bring these messages forward for you in the highest good, in the highest frequency of all beings. And thanking all who are present, all of our guides, all of our wisdom keepers, this beautiful earth, for holding us. May the messages be clear. May your hearts be open to hear. Know that we are all in that place of love as we share. Aho.
Aho.
Woohoo! Good morning, my love.
Good afternoon, my darling.
Oh yeah, 2 different time zones. I'm in San Diego. Whoop whoop. Yeah.
Over here. Wow.
Yeah, and you, Mia, in North Carolina, right? So how's it feeling? How's the energy pulse where you are?
It's good. It's very peaceful. It's kind of this ready for winter now. Things are settling down, and plants are starting to get the message. Animals are doing their mad dash for the last nuts, the berries that are left over. Yeah. How about over there in Diego?
San Diego is, I'm noticing a little bit of a interesting kind of vibe. It's just noticing like people moving through like in their blinders on, you know, just kind of going like, okay, I got to get shit done, and I'm just doing it, and I'm going out with my blinders on. And like, even like, you know, I live close to the beach, to the bay, and I do my daily walks and stuff. And just even on that walks, you know, where like I would be out and about and, hey, how you doing? You know, and people chipper. There's a little bit more of a, you know, like I'm just super focused. I'm in it, you know. Yeah, it's just it's a very slight nuance. But because of who I am, and I'm always reading the pulse of the energies and what's happening, I probably pick up on it a little bit more. But yeah, a little more reserved, I think, and which is weird for San Diego, because San Diego vibe is just out there and, you know, you know. But yeah, it's beautiful as always. You know, San Diego is chill vibe. You know, it's the chill hippie sister vibe of
Mm-hmm.
California. You know, um, so overall, it's wonderful. You know, last week I wanted to say, last week in our readings, we had a couple people that responded, and one of the big things that was up for people was this whole piece about the water spirits and this you Mia, you spoke about water spirit as in this birthing and this, you know, that it can relate to giving birth. And um, we had Sarah L, who responded, and I just wanted to um, give a little bit of information and kind of maybe us dive in a little bit more into that and just respond to you, Sarah, in that. And thank you for you know, reaching out and sharing your experiences. And so we were talking about what was her birth experience like? And I think it's really great for us to kind of look at that. You know, do you know your birth story? And are we holding on to traumas and emotional traumas that come through those water, you know, spirits of the, you know, all that fluid, the amniotic fluid that's around us. And so it's really interesting to think about your birth story and what you may be holding on to that could be let go during this time, right, on the emotional story. In other words, you know, like, was your birth story a traumatic one? You know, how were you delivered, what happened, and, you know, all of these different things. And you can kind of get a little bit of insight um, to your makeup and maybe emotional story that links you all the way back to that, all the way back there, you know?
Absolutely. Yep. Um, I've been attracted to the ocean for so long, you know, that hanging in the water and just swimming and enjoying that salt, and being fascinated by books about dolphins. I think one of my favorite books was a Madeleine L'Engle book, something about through a ring of light. I can't remember the exact word, but yeah, that incredible. And then every time there's research being done by there was a group that did research for children with autism who would go and take these children out into the ocean, and then the dolphins would come and kind of like connect with those children. And the message was, you know, you are in this place and I can connect to you because I have been in this kind of place always. You know, we can sort of see, you know, like that what makes them not fit in this human world and on Earth is perfect for connecting with dolphins. There's a similarity there, and so, you know, it's hard for me to talk about it because it feels like that's my element is Pisces. It's hard to
Oh,
talk
yeah.
to step outside of it and talk about it because I've never been outside of it. It's home, that element. I definitely feel more at home in water. um, I find that during the day, I would start struggling it and I would start thinking about, all right, when am I going to run my bath? It's like my way of connecting to the world is through a bath.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You know, so one of the questions was, how can we speak a little bit deeper to how water plays a significant role in our spirituality? And, you know, I feel like, you know, some of the things that we want to say about that is, number one, you know, let's talk about how this full moon right now, and every full moon, well, the moon itself is pulling these tides and it's so connected. We know that the moon is feminine, it's our emotional, and so the water is, you know, typically corresponds to the energies of our emotions and the emotional ways. And I like to think about the tides in the way that, we have these times of expansion and contraction, where we go out and we expand, and then we have to go back in and go, okay, let me go and process, and let me, pull back in again and go take my shaman's bath, right? And let me go, in and process. And what I find is so interesting in that, is that for me, in that time of what would be perceived as contraction, is actually my own personal expansion. It's time for me to go in and do that personal work, and for me to really expand in my consciousness and clear away some of those old things that need to be cleared away, and then pulling, then I can go out and expand and share with everybody, share with what, go do my ceremonies, go do, all of this, and be more out there. So I feel like this whole water gives us this viewpoint of how we are expanding and contracting in our own lives, and it's teaching us that. And I also feel that the water's spirits are giving us the opportunity. I mean, when we think about how it relates to us physically, they say the water spirits work through us, not only through the interstitial, fluid in our body and the lymphatic system, right? And so when we're super emotional and not processing our emotions and pushing them down, this is why it suppresses the immune system.
Yeah.
And so really looking at how all, like they say that we're at least 75% made up of water. I've heard, all the way up, and then we have to talk about a little bit of the work that was done by Emoto, right? Our Japanese beautiful person. He's passed away now, but if you have not checked out his work, it's pretty amazing. And meditating with intention over water, and watching with these microscopes how the particles in the water start reacting and acting based on what it is, the intention is that you're meditating on. And so, something like gratitude, blessings of the water, so grateful for the water. All of a sudden, what's it say? Oh gosh, I love the picture. The water spirit and the spiral. Mm-hmm. So, meditating and setting an intention. So the gratitude, it showed like all of a sudden these beautiful designs in the molecular makeup of the water molecules, of how like it was just like these beautiful shapes of like these snowflakes almost. And then, hate and lower vibrational intention to a different, and you'd see where it was all in disarray and even almost muddied up looking. And so, you think about the emotions and how it plays in your own body, and how you're made up of all of this interstitial, all the bloods in your veins, right? So it plays a big impact on the emotional. And when we think about the spiritual aspect, is what is your intentions, and really being focused on, knowing how to turn the dial as to, whoa, I want to be over here in gratitude or in the space of love and kindness and joy, and this is what I'm manifesting, this is what I want to call into my life. And so, practicing mantras and things like that around what it is that you really want to align your frequency with, that's how it starts working on the physical body.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful.
And I guess that just brings up to mind again that staying well hydrated and how important it is to detox. I'm sitting here drinking my tea, my hot chocolate though. That drinking, that cleansing and clearing, but when we can take it a step further and put that prayers into that water before we drink, and send that into our body, And I mean, as simple as just saying a prayer over the water. And of course, other people like to have pictures of their favorite deities on the water tank,
Mm.
to
Wow,
bless
how has I not thought about that?
to bless that water. So I love that.
Hmm. What does your card say? I loved the picture of it, but I could not actually see
No,
the
it's
words.
gratitude.
Oh, is it really?
It literally says gratitude. I have to put on my glasses so I have it hold it upright. But the camera is not fabulous, but you can see that
It
the
looks like it's
ocean.
the ocean.
It's the ocean, and she's holding what looks like a crystal in her
Hmm.
and sending that vibration out into the ocean.
And receiving it as
Yeah,
well.
yeah. And those beautiful frangipani flowers around the edge.
Okay, so I just the Ascended Master Deck was calling as we were talking about all of this, and so right along this is purification. It's telling us about purification, and so don't forget that the water spirits is all about our purification and what is it that we be doing. And I love this. The white Tara is actually floating on a lotus in the ocean in this picture.
Mm.
And so, yeah, the ocean, the waters, using it in ceremony for purification, for really, and so after you've, blessed up your water with a whole bunch of gratitude, right, and being able to put those prayers into it, that is really going to bring that sense of purification for us. And how, I feel like, I don't know, I'm just hearing how perhaps there are some of you out there that are near bodies of water that really need to go to your bodies of water and send prayers out and blessings to those bodies of water. And so that's wonderful. So how can we do that? Well, one of the things I wanted to bring up, and I shared with Mia before we actually push the record button, but I really do want to share it with you guys too, is that, so I was so called last week after our chats, that I got together with a couple of friends who had come in from Montana. It was really fun. And one of them is a brother from Peru. And so bless out to the Huancaro tribe and our brothers and sisters in the Sacred Valley and in Peru in general. And all around the world, I guess, but just because that Peruvian energy is so strong right now for me. And anyway, we got together and we made a despacho. And a despacho is a prayer bundle where you put in all these beautiful natural, oh gosh, we had everything. We had that represent various things. So I'll just give you an example of some of the things that we put in it. We had a big, huge piece of brown paper, and on the inside was a piece of rice paper that was yellow to represent the foundation of joy. And then we put in, like, our foundation was coconut sugar, because we wanted to bring sugar and the sweetness, right? The sweetness to the oceans, the sweetness to the water spirits, the sweetness to the Atlanteans. So we laid a foundation, and we brought in like cranberries for blessings and thank yous to the ancestors. And we put in sage, sage for the wisdom keepers. We put in time in the place where we can be timeless and access, from a place of timelessness, past, present, future, that we can bring it all here right now. We put in all different kinds of things, wrapped it all up, blessed each other with it, and then with these prayers and a little feather from an owl wing that I have to bless with the wisdom. And a bird of paradise. It was really interesting. I have this big, huge bush of birds of paradise flowers, and it was like, oh, this needs to go in. We went out, kind of snipped a little, so thank you, dropped some prayers, and put it with the despacho. And then we walked down to the bay and we sent it out. So here we were in this incredible time of full moon eclipse and this big energy up, and being able to push these prayers out and bless. And so, I think that in this light of the purification, it's kind of really connecting to your bodies of water. Go find your river, go find your, the closest body of water near to you, and say thank you, thank you, thank you, and really connect with. I think it's important. Yeah.
If I may add to that, I think that not to want to intimidate people with despachos. I mean, when I lived in Durban in South Africa, you'd go and walk in the morning on the coast and on the water, and dead chickens would wash out, and oranges and flowers, and people had come
Making
and
the offerings.
gifts and their offerings to the ocean. And so it's absolutely beautiful to do that. But in lieu of that, just taking your water and putting it so full of blessings and prayers, and then walking down there to the ocean and pouring it into the ocean, or just sitting in the ocean and having your hands out and with your hands in the water, and sending your blessings of healing and prayer into the ocean and asking for forgiveness, I think is something that comes up for me. For all the things that we sometimes commit towards the water, or I think just unthinking, not always being grateful enough for all the life that we receive from water.
Oh,
So
true that. And some of you know this about me, is you can see my altar behind me. I've got a kind of, my whole apartment becomes an altar. But this is my big altar. And so typically on the new moons, I will clear the altar of all the little flowers and things that I've used to say thank you and feed the altar throughout the moon cycle. And so I'll take it on the new moon and clean it all off, and I'll take all those dried flowers and put them in a pouch. And this becomes then the sacred offerings that I just carry. The little pouch, it's just a little zippered pouch with me, and I put it in my bag, and it's kind of with me wherever, so that if I am down by the water, I can just blow a prayer and make an offering with that. If I'm picking a flower, I leave a little offering, thank you for that as well. Yeah, so there's lots of different ways to say prayers and offerings, right?
yeah.
Whoa, here's our right turn. I have a right turn. Mia and I were talking about our right turns and staying focused, but gosh, when you're channeling messages through this card deck, this is actually very interesting, because, well, this one is from one of our teachers, Alberto and Colette Byron-Reed got together and did the Mystic Shamans Oracle deck, and it was just kind of screaming over here. And so, Vision Quest. Vision Quest, and it came with a card on top called the Council.
Interesting.
And I feel like this message is for some specific people watching this now, that it's time to go on that vision quest. It's time to go inward and really see with new eyes and meet your council. Meet your council and go in. And this kind of brings to, I think, Mia, the forefront of this big, it's not even like an elephant in the room, but the big topic that seems to be up is where we are planetarily, even, is this death and rebirth cycle that we're in, and having to go in and do this vision quest, see what needs to die away. We're headed into these brand new beginnings, the dawn of, the age of Aquarius. It's a brand new time. It's new beginnings. But before we can get there, we have to go through this eclipse season, this dark, we've got to go in and look at the shadows. We got to look at what needs to be dying away. We've got to look at what parts of our egos that really aren't serving us anymore. What are some of those emotional traumas that we were talking about, be it birth trauma, this time trauma, past life trauma, who knows? But you won't know until you actually go in and do this. And I don't know if you can see this so clearly. It feels like there's a big glare, but it reminds me of, she's coming out, like really giving this birth of like freedom. It's the freedom. It's like the phoenix rising kind of look to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So talk to us, Mia, about death rites and how what you see we can be doing in our own work during these times of the eclipse. We just had November 30th, right, with this full moon. We're still kind of coming out of that full moon energy. And we've got December 14th is our next eclipse. So we have this window of going into this vision quest and really looking at our shadows. How do you see, once we come across all these things that we go, okay, we're stuck, let's talk a little bit about the death rites and what you're seeing there and what the thought process is.
Oh, there's too much coming up. I
Is
don't
it too
know
much?
time to talk about everything.
One at a time. Maybe pick a card and say which one, pick a card and see which one what's the topic at hand. So we got Vision Quest and Council, and I love that.
So what comes to mind for me here is that when you do a vision quest, there is kind of, you draw this circle in the sand where you put your cornmeal out and you say, this is my protection. I'm not stepping outside of this line, and I'm not going to eat for 24 hours, 3 days, whatever,
Whatever your commitment is, yeah.
time would be, so that you basically clean your slate. There's a purification going on. There's a time set aside to leave from the world that we know every day and sort of download from spirit. Like it almost feels like a new template. Messages, you kind of get reborn in that circle. And so that beauty of it, here we are kind of locked up in our pandemic isolation, and the gifts that can come with it, the things that you can do. You can say, I'm sorry, I'm not receiving any guests. I am quiet right now. I'm not, I'm not taking any calls right now. I'm, and then start looking at what you're eating and maybe clean up your eating and maybe do a juice fast. Or if you really want to, maybe do a water fast, depending on, what your health needs are. So that's what we but as shamans, there is that a beauty of giving people death rites, which is always for me one of the most beautiful things that I do as a shaman, where we can kind of go in for that person who comes to you and almost need a reset button, and you can clean out all their chakras and then kind of do the death spiral and do all in a spiral, clear all the chakras and loosen them and send them off. And it's the closest we've come to discussing how it really works. Is kind of like a computer that has problems and we turn it off and then we turn it on again. Lo and behold, things work better, and things come online that hadn't been there before. So it's a just turn it on and turn it off. So we as humans have that gift too, that we can get reprogrammed and go back to source and come back with, oh yeah, I kind of remember I kind of gotten off course here, and I can come back to the path where I'm supposed to be. So whether we do that for people who are alive and well, um, and just needing a reset, or whether we're doing it for people who are actively dying or people who have passed over and they are not where they're supposed to be, and you can feel your loved ones are kind of not, they're
Stuck
in the
in the
Bardo.
bardos, right? Yeah, stuck in the bardos, exactly.
It
Hmm.
always feels like such a gift that I have as a shaman, that
Yeah.
I can give to people who come to me and need, and whether it's people who passed over, it's loved ones who say I can feel him around, and it's I kind of, not in a way I want to. I think you need to talk a little bit about that, how you observe that when you know that a loved one is not where he should be.
So one of the big things, and um, you know, I'll have people that come to me to do clearings in their house, right? Because there is a presence or a ghost in their house. And really what that is that they are stuck. They have not transitioned and gotten to their next space, and they don't know really why, and they're in that in between space. And so that really is the death spiral, and you know, really giving them a proper send off, you know. So that's one of the things that is kind of, you know, the how I can tell, you know, when you're feeling the presence of somebody around. And I'm not saying that we don't get visits from our loved ones from the other side, or that their energy, even if they've reincarnated, I think it's really interesting how, you know, you may get like I feel like my brother, I definitely am in connection with my brother. I'm in connection with my nephew, who both have passed. Neither one of them are stuck in the bardos. In fact, my brother actually was stuck in the bardos, and I had one of our Emery, who our brother shaman, I had him, he actually went, and we had to do a mesa proxy where actually somebody was standing in for him. And um, so that gets a little tricky. That gets probably a whole other a whole other talk. But yeah, just understand that, you know, for you guys, is that if you are getting messages from your loved ones who have passed, there's certain times um, that the veils are thin and we can access those energies and those frequencies. This is not what we're talking about. We're talking about people who are actually stuck, have not made it over. And so the other thing that I see is really important for your loved ones, for our loved ones, is when they are transitioning. Okay, so I'm just going to speak personally about my mom. And there was I can feel the emotion coming up. Okay, hold sacred space for me, guys, because this is really hard. You know, when we have loved ones who are in and out. And my mom had dementia. My mom was in and out of it. You know, she was in a nursing home in a lockdown facility where they were giving her lots of medication. And so when our loved ones are going through that time frame of transition and a lot of medications are given, it's hard to find their way through. You know, it's hard to like, where am I, what am I about? It's hard for them to make that transition through. And the best that we can do under those circumstances are to practice bringing them up to the light. And also, I feel like one of the most beautiful things in helping people in transition and death rites is being that bridge and helping them to get across to the other side, and asking for their angels, their guides, their folks, their peeps to come in and, hey, we got one. Can you come grab them? They're kind of, you know, floating in the bardos, you know. Hey, you know, Michael, can you come and out? Can you come and bring that, cross them over that rainbow bridge? And we can be in this very incredibly beautiful space, and you guys can help with that in your prayers with your loved ones. And there are a lot of people that are transitioning right now. We know this. We talked a little bit about this last week, and that, you know, there is a big portal opening and a lot of people are physically transitioning out. And so if you do have loved ones that are in that space of, you know, that they're transitioning out, that you can help them in that way, by just kind of lifting their energy up. And, you know, if you need deeper help, of course, Mia and I can help you in you know, doing the death spiral. It's a technique. It's a shamanic technique. It's pretty powerful in the unwinding of the chakras in a particular way, so that it makes it easy for the energy body to lift up and ascend out. And so when we do this in a way, when we're not transitioning, but we have all this stuff, as Mia was saying earlier, the reset button, right? And I do the death spiral with people, and there's certain criteria, and you can go down your checklist and kind of ask yourself, am I stuck financially? Am I stuck romantically? Am I stuck in all areas of my life? Things just so, all areas of my life are so out of balance, and I am just like stuck. Then this would be a time, you know, that we may go, oh yeah, total reset, let's do this, you know. And so we look at that. There's not a, well, let me just put it this way. If I could do the death spiral, and this is very interesting to think about doing collectively, doing a collective death spiral on humanity at large right now, the energy, just the collective, that we can let go of some of this dense energy that is happening, the fear, the anxiety, all of the, you know, the fear of the unknown, because this is what's up. The old paradigms that we're seeing of the patriarchy and the dominance, the violence, the dualities, I would definitely feel like that would be a really great thing. You know, if I could give the death spiral to every single one of you guys, I would be like ecstatic. Because why? This is the time. This is where we are. We're in this eclipse season. Like, let's go, you know, get rid of all this stuff. Let's push the reset. Who doesn't need a reset?
Yeah. Yeah. So, but I wanted to just come back for a second to the fact
Okay.
that like when people are birthing is kind of a natural process. We don't necessarily need a doctor to stand there or a nurse to stand there, although I would definitely want a midwife there. Birthing is kind of a natural thing. We can do this without much help, you know, definitely coaxing along and support, absolutely. And the same thing happens with, but then having somebody there when something goes wrong, that one baby out of what, maybe four, that has a cord around her neck or something like that. And the same thing happens when people are transitioning. It's kind of a natural process. We don't necessarily need a lot of help when it comes to the passing over. But when people are, especially when people are dying very suddenly in a car accident or whatever horrendous accident, or when they're dying and they're, you know, under the influence of a lot of
Meds,
um,
yeah.
barbiturates, or, you know, maybe
Yeah, the
during the
meds thing.
operation.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's when we find that people get stuck, and that's when they really need help. Um, so it's a completely safe procedure, and it's so safe that we can do it on each other, and but at the same time, it's something as shamans that we are trained not ever to do without permission. And so even when we go in to do death rites on the loved one of a person, somebody who had passed away, we kind of check on that person's higher self to see, is this okay, just to be in integrity, so that we do not step into a place where we are doing something against somebody's wishes. Now, I can't really think why somebody would not want to have death rites done. I mean, I think when my grandmother got it, by the time I found out that she was still stuck, she had been dead, God, 70 some years. And the
Aww.
joy that that woman felt not being stuck, and she had
Mm.
up 2 levels, and all those years, and she was still yearning for her children who had at least, who were grandparents at this point. So there's, yeah, I can go on and on about death rites.
We have another card, another a master who is just, I don't even know how it showed up. I just looked down and he was just staring at me. This is just so fun. It's Merlin. Merlin's in the house.
All right.
Merlin's in the house. And I think maybe why he's showing up right now, I mean, the caption is energy healing, and obviously, but Merlin was a great sorcerer, right? Wizard. And, as you're talking about asking permission and all of these different things, I mean, he was I would call him an alchemist. He really worked with the elements, but he used prayer and intention in order to bring it together.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But I think why he's showing up right now is because of the words sourcing and sorcerer, and this, are you a good witch or a bad witch, and asking permission. And whoa,
we're exactly on the same page here. Shadow and grace. It's a fine line.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a fine line. There's Merlin saying, it's so fine. And maybe
are we sourcing from the light, or are we sourcing from the shadow? Where are you sourcing? Yeah, this is big. Wow, beautiful. And I do say that along with that is we do ask permission. We have incarnated in this meat suit in this lifetime with this a beautiful ability to communicate. And before we do any prayer or any work on anybody, we ask their physical, Mia, can I do energy work with you? Can I pray for you? Can I whatever, with you? We ask that permission. Otherwise, it is considered that more of that shadow work of sourcing, that you haven't asked permission, and that's rude. When we get to talking about the death rites, and people have already crossed over, how do we, how do we ask permission? That's the shaman's dilemma, of, are you a good witch or a bad witch? You haven't asked permission. And I feel like, the first go-to is, of course, the families, if you don't have that. But normally is that if that person has come to you, they're asking, like if a person has crossed over that, that I don't have access to their family for asking permission or whatever, and they've come to me in the dream time, or they've come to me repeatedly, like, oh shoot, okay, I'm gonna help, I'm gonna go in and help, but just to be clear, I think that's why Merlin was showing up and talking about this, as you were speaking about, sourcing and the
mm-hmm.
Yeah, the ability to ask that permission, and how do we go about doing this deeper work. But I think for you guys, as far as the death rites and all of that, is that, it's probably going back more to this intentional vision quest. It's time for you to go in and do this vision quest, and you can get as ritualistic as you want to, as like what Mia was saying with your cornmeal, or, for me, that vision quest looks like a dieta, and where I am going in and I'm fasting and I'm working with plant medicines to bring that in. So we all have our little different ways, of doing that. Sometimes that for me looks like just doing a meditation and going in a deeper way in a meditation. It's whatever it is quieting yourself and finding yourself in that sacred space and really getting honest with yourself. And I love that the council, we're supported by the council, and that we have many councils that we can refer to, and that will come in for each of us. Sometimes it's the Council of Plant Medicines, the teachers themselves. Sometimes it's the Council of the Galactic Federation and the spirit star beings that are helping us. Sometimes it's your ancestral council, your own councils from your ancestor, from your own personal lineage. So you'll know.
I would add to that for some reason, what comes to mind is almost the most important thing is withdrawing from social media for an extended period of time, a window where you kind of just cleanse your palate and experience that quiet. And so that space to receive messages from spirit can come in.
Yeah, thank you for saying that, Mia. Sometimes I think that just is kind of like one of those things that don't even need to be said because it's so clear to me, but I don't know that that's so clear to everybody. And so, yeah, taking breaks from the social media, shutting down technology, stepping away from all that is the normality of your life, and maybe even going deeper into nature where you can hear clearly the messages that are for you. So we can't talk about death rites, Mia, without talking about the rebirth. So let's talk about rebirth. Let's see who wants to talk about rebirth. Oh, I believe in miracles. Where you from? You sexy thing. Rebirth. So I think about, this transition of rebirth and where we are, and, like our planetary alignment and where we are in the whole scheme of things. And, when we're letting go, it's also this simultaneous, we're stepping into a new place. We're getting a reminder. Hang on. Okay, here it goes. This is the one. Oh, protect yourself. Protection. You are safe and supported while you change. And so protection is really important. So if you are going in to do your vision quest, you are going in to do your meditation, hell, you're going into the grocery store. It's true. There's so many of us, right? Yeah, protection. And I laugh about that because, for many of us, we're so sensitive right now. We're raw. We're receiving these messages. We're the empaths. All of you know this. It's like, you're empathic. You're feeling. You're sensitive. Just going out right now, it seems to be like, oh my gosh, yeah. So what are some of the ways that we can protect ourselves energetically? Is super big to have that topic before we go into rebirth. And so I want to say, you saw us opening up a little bit of sacred space last week. We opened up huge sacred space. We did it the same, only we just didn't record it. But that sacred space is asking for that counsel to come in and help you, right? That sacred space is creating that safe bubble around you as you are doing this work. And as Mia was talking about the cornmeal around you, that adds another little sacred space, a boundary around you. But what are some of the other ways? I'll be curious to hear how everybody else, what are some of the things, what are the tools that you use in sacred space and making sure, so we know smudge, Palo Santos that rarefies our space. When we use the rattle, it's saying, hey, we're clearing up the dense energy. We're kind of shaking out the dense energy around us. And we're saying sometimes even like right here, come here. Archangels, come right here, you know, giving them a guide. It's hard for our council and our guides to get through this dense energy. So the rattle kind of helps them to say, hey, and break up the dense energy. So you can, that's why we use the rattle. It's not just pomp and circumstance. There is a real thing to that. So how do you rarefy your space so that your council can come in and make it easier for them to get through this dense energy? And so the rattle is one, the Palo Santos, the sage, and then rarefying your space so that they feel safe to be here and safe, you know, that it's a sacred space. Flowers.
I'm going to say that it feels like this is a whole talk, because my brain is going, oh, I've got to talk about this, I've got to share this. And to me, it's like, next week, tune in next week, because there's so much going on here that I want to talk about. And that it is such a vital part about in this time, and protecting our space, protecting ourselves when we walk in general. And you taught me how to install the Merkaba, and I went shopping yesterday, and it felt like I was going through a war zone, and I'm like, what, totally boom, boom, just bouncing off of me, not affecting me.
Can't touch this.
Huge.
Can't touch this.
Trauma, you know, and it doesn't mean that I don't care about people suffering, but that's not what I'm talking about. It's just that, you know, people have anxiety and panic attacks, and they like, and it's like, not affecting me, darling. Goodbye. Thanks for packing. Bye.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you know, Mia, I teach the mentorship class, and the very first class is, you know, living a sacred life, right? The very first level of that mentorship is living a sacred life, and the very first class in that living a sacred life is all about sacred space and how to rarefy your space, and really getting into the details. But just, you know, so you guys know, hey, come and join a class.
She is a great teacher. Sign up for one of her classes. You will not regret it.
That's very kind of you. Thank you. Yeah, those classes are launching in January. So, and it's fun. They're really a lot of fun. But to stay on track, stay focused, protection is key as we are going into this. And so, installing your Merkaba around you, you can visualize that Merkaba is filled with a violet flame of protection. So there's lots of different things. And I know that you guys have a ton of other ways. And so I'd love to hear what you're doing and what you know to protect yourself when you are going into these deeper layers of the work. Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, this deck of cards of mine, I've been wanting to just say hi to you guys for so long now. So
yay! This is going to be talking about the rebirth. I know it.
Well, it's just funny because when we were talking about that, Freya came to visit.
Oh.
And all about cycles and phases, and there's a beginning within every ending. Illusions are revealed and released. And I love this deck. The only thing that, just as I say that, I struggle with so many of the Oracle decks who do not have people of color in them. But look at that. You know, so I love working with the energy of this deck. And look at this guy.
Wow.
So not just earthbound.
Yeah. What does it say?
Sanat Kumara.
You have to read them.
Light activation, share your light. Your internal guidance is coming through loud and clear. And whew, you know, that's that, you know, when you were sharing your Icaros with me earlier, sitting at the top of the tree, bringing it back to that, how important it is for us to have our protection up so that we can keep our vibration up. And so we can keep our vibration up so we can share this light really far. You know, we can shine safely.
The
Uh,
ripple effects, yeah.
and get the messages, the high vibration messages that we need at this time. So it's kind of this ongoing process of every day sitting and taking time aside to do that quieting, to listening, to working on your protection, to grounding yourself. And now I'm going into next week's class, next week's talk, so I'm not going to stop.
You already have a thought process of that. Oh, goody. Yeah. So, I love that. And thank you for bringing in the top of the tree because, um, this is a beautiful sacred teaching. And my mentor in the jungle would say to me all the time, you know, go to the top of the tree, go to the top of the tree. And so at the time I was dieting the Noyarao tree. And the Noyarao tree is this tree of ultimate light, ultimate light. Like she's bioluminescent. I mean, the leaves of the tree, when they fall to the ground, they actually glow in the dark. It's
I
phenomenal.
cannot wait to meet this tree.
Noyarao, she's absolutely amazing. And she is said to be a whole universe that has embodied this tree, and actually several trees. They know now of, I think it is up to 6 in the region, and you can tell them because of this bioluminescent. And they're all different species of trees too, by the way. It's very interesting. But the one that is on the property, we have 2 on the property at the camp, in the jungle that I go and I study with Enrique. And um, yeah, it's just amazing being at the top of the tree. And so we want to, and he would say, hold your ceremonies as if you are sitting at the top of the tree. And it reminds me very much of Alberto's teachings of, flying out of that eagle's nest, or the Kiro teachings of going to the top of the mountain. From here we can see with clarity. This is where we can rebirth. This is where we can, we can leave the denser, lower vibrational energies, move out of duality, rise above, and be in this higher plane of existence. This, guys, is 5D and beyond. This is where we have complete access to our highest vibrations, and where we can see those lines of destinies that we are creating and rebirthing in our life, and start anchoring them in, breathing them in, and allowing your own personal self to become that vibration. This is the rebirth. This is how we do this. Rising out of those old, letting go, shedding, doing the death rites to all of those things that are not serving that highest good, so that we can elevate to that top of the tree, to the top of the mountain, where we can access, okay, now what are we calling in? What is this rebirth? This is so exciting. Yeah. Can I sing it? It's
I
really,
wasn't going to ask you because it's your Icarus to share. I was not going to ask you that.
it really wants to be heard. So, at the top of the tree, you are so lovely. At the top of the tree, you are so lovely. At the top of the tree, you can see with clarity. At the top of the tree, you can weave your destiny. At the top of the tree, you can bend and flow. At the top of the tree, you can let it all go. At the top of the tree, we are so lovely. At the top of the tree, we are so lovely. Yay. Who knew?
Thank you for sharing that.
It's a little short one. It's good. Yeah, it's sweet, right? It just is a great reminder. And I love singing it in the medicine circles because it is that sweet reminder. You know, there's whole teachings around it, and you know, it is that sweet reminder. Hey, you know, let's get out of our shadowy shit for a little bit. Let's go, rise it up and rebirth. What is it that we're calling in? You can weave your destiny in. It's that great reminder. Yeah, beautiful.
Thank you so much for that.
So rebirth, so, you know, setting intention to what it is that we, you know, you guys want to rebirth in your life, and you want to expand. You know, this is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. Yeah, higher vibrations, you guys, you know, being in that place of love, being in that place of kindness and joy and giving and loving and loving and loving and loving and loving and gratitude, right? Yeah, beautiful.
Thank you.
So beautiful. Thank you, Mia. Hey, cheers. What a beautiful shaman's tea it was. I know, right? So you had hot chocolate. I'm getting the last of my mushrooms out. You know, I do my little mushroom elixir.
Delicious.
Woo!
To the last drop.
To the last drop. Life is good. I want to leave you all with a little, I don't know, thought process, mantra, understanding of how much you matter in this world. And no matter what you're all going through at this time, you make a difference. That little thing that you do, holding the door, saying hello, just doing those little things that are uniquely your gifts are important. And I want you to know that you do matter to this world and you matter to me.
Oh.
Yeah, it's you do. We're all out here doing our little things, and they may seem insignificant, but they're not. And it does make a difference in the energies that we put out there. And I just want to thank you all for showing up and doing the damn thing every day, even when it's hard and even when you don't feel like it. And I, you know, don't want to get out of bed and, you know, overwhelmed and all of those things. I'm really grateful that you pull it together and that you do what you do in all of those unique ways that are unique to you and special. So thank you.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much for everything you do too, you know. You just putting that wonderful message out there. Absolutely. And what comes to mind for me that just a quick thing is like as we walk into these supermarkets and our faces are all covered up, to make sure that we smile with our eyes at all, you know, all the strangers who come their way, so that people can still feel loved, even though we cannot really see each other's faces anymore.
Yeah, the mask does not separate us, guys. It doesn't. Yeah. Our separation comes something from way, 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 way deeper than that. It's not about the mask. Let that stuff go. Just wear the fucking mask when you're out and be be done with it. Like rather it helps or not, who really fucking cares? Like it doesn't.
Gotta kick your ass off.
Whoops. No, you guys know I'm going to keep it real and authentic. I'm going to speak from my heart. I'm going to speak from that space of the channeled space as well. And, I feel like we can't allow any more separation in our lives. This is a time of unity. This is a time of coming together in a deeper way. And like Mia was saying, last week, we're all in the tunnel. We're all here, we're all in the tunnel, and we need to beam our light. And there's going to be times that my light is dim, and Mia's light's going to come, or your light's going to come and shine on me and inspire me and lift me up, and vice versa. We're here for each other. And so just understanding there is no separation, and we really need to wrap our head around that. When we're at the top of the tree and we are beaming from that space of high vibration, it doesn't matter who's wearing a mask and who isn't, and or any of that stuff, right? It's all love.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right. We'll see you guys. And thank you so much for tuning in and turning on, and visit the website and hit like and subscribe and all those other weird things that I'm supposed to say.
And let us know what tea you're drinking in the comments below.
Oh yeah, what's in your teacup, and what tea are you spilling? And let's see, anything coming up for you in the next week events or things that you want to share that's happening in your world that you want people to know about?
In my world?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, we're talking to the listeners. Let me pick a card. Maybe I'll find out.
Ooh.
Just keep shining, girl.
Just keep shining from your heart, from your heart space. I love it. From your heart.
Yeah. It's interesting that it's the third eye here that's lit up. And
in the picture or in you?
In the picture.
Okay, because all I see is heart. I see this.
Yeah. Okay. Well, because you can see kind of like where her.
Oh yeah.
Eye is up, but it's the heart space. It's here. So, let's keep shining, and we'll see you next week.
Come out of your head and into your heart. And so I have an integration. No, it's not an integration. It's a awareness Zoom call on Sunday for those who are interested in learning a little bit more about what plant medicine is all about. So if you're interested in joining that, I'd be happy to have you. It's a free Zoom call, and the topic is set and setting, dose, and what to expect. So that's a lot. It's an hour Zoom call, and so if you want the link, just hit me up, and I'd be happy to send it.
Did you put it on the bottom of the video?
Oh yeah, I sure will. Yeah, great. I will do that. I have been, actually, maybe I won't, because I'm trying not to be too exposed on Zoom links in light of Zoom bombers that like to come in and bomb people's stuff. So I don't want to put it out too much to the public. So you guys, if you want to be a part of that, just, send me a little message and I'll send you the link privately. Yeah, no Zoom bombs. We actually had that once, and it was horrible. It was really, really a horrible experience. And it was on an integration call. And gosh, there was a lot of people on the call. I had to lock the meeting. It was even before Sacred Space. Anyway, cancel, clear, delete.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys have a great weekend, a great week, and see you next week for the Shamans tea. Thank you, Mia. I love you so much love to you. Peace and love and gratitude.
Love you.